Welcome to part 2 of Debunking Flat Earth Conspiracy. If you haven't seen part 1, please go back and watch it. Otherwise, let's get on with it.
I think molecular attractions shape our world more than anything. I think chemistry is the underlying mechanism to the changing world, and I think the dynamics between the fundamental particles should be considered more when looking for answers to questions about how Earth was shaped. The dynamics between these fundamental particles can generate large amounts of energy and create magnetic fields, of which I feel should be the sole basics for which Earth is dependent.
It really doesn't matter what you think Earth should be dependent on. All that matters is what actually shaped our Earth and other planetary bodies. The truth is out there, and we uncover more about that truth every single day. You show mercury, tungsten, water, and mention other arbitrary particles that can interact and generate large amounts of energy, as if those particles are the only thing that should be causing the Earth to be round, or in your case, flat. Well, I have some news for you, Fran. Physics plays a huge part in chemistry and those particles that you're talking about. Many of the elements we've discovered have lots of different properties, and those properties aren't evident unless heat or pressure is applied. Kind of like the same heat or pressure caused from gravity, or one of the other 4 fundamental forces.
On the previous slide, we saw how water acted when it was acted upon. And as we all know, water really does go with the flow. So this YouTube video here on the slide refers to its cool fluid dynamic fun as spinning water galaxies. But this title is misleading because we are told that the sucking attractive action of gravity is what makes a galaxy, whereas this water is flowing out, not in.
You know, Fran, we agree on something. I watched that video and you're right. The word galaxies is misleading. But I think the creators of that video used the catchphrase to attract views. And if you take a stationary image of the water with its largest circumference and squint, it might resemble a galaxy in an elementary way. I don't think the creators of the video would expect the viewers to take the title seriously, and frankly has nothing to do with flat Earth or proving or disproving how galaxies actually formed according to gravity. This video really holds no scientific value.
As we know, a spinning ball will become flattened depending on both its rate of speed and flexibility, but it will do this in either direction that it is spinning. So how does an inward suck of a sphere create a flattened disk, like a galaxy then?
What you're comparing is on 2 totally different scales. The ball, which is all connected in one piece, theoretically has no mass on the scale of the universe. It flattens due to centrifugal forces. Galaxies, on the other hand, are very large, and are all not connected in one piece. There are billions, if not trillions, of elements to a galaxy, all of which have mass, gravity, friction, etc., etc. The matter forms an accretion disk based on the average distribution of angular momentum which follows the path of the spinning large mass in the center. Matter entering this accretion disk follows something called a Tyndall line, in which basically the matter spirals in a continuously smaller orbit until it settles within the limits of the accretion disk. Keeping the disk in a flat fashion, flat is also relative. From inside our Milky Way, the galaxy does not look flat, but at a distance the distribution of matter is definitely oriented in a flat manner, as do other galaxies when viewed from a telescope.
Let's consider the look-alike, the hurricane. So we've all noticed how hurricanes look a lot like what we are told are galaxies, but hurricanes don't have anything at all in their center. The current astronomical model likes to give credit to the galaxy's center as a physical, massive thing from which light cannot escape. Well, that sounds like something Satan would say. What if the center was really just an empty place of serenity, like in the hurricane?
All hail Lucifer. No, I'm just kidding. There's no such thing as a devil. Again, a very poor example in which you use something that looks like something else but has no relation whatsoever. Unlike hurricanes, galaxies form from the supermassive black holes in the center. These black holes are not only massive, but they're there. They can be measured. Matter can be visually seen orbiting them. The galaxy is the product of the spinning mass in the middle. I can tell you that the center of the hurricane is the product of the outside forces. This is the exact opposite of a galaxy.
Now, key ingredients are needed for a hurricane. A cluster of thunderstorms over a warm ocean. The heat from the ocean will be the energy source, and the high levels of moisture in the atmosphere will allow the storm clouds to expand. Now ideally, any crosswinds present high up or wind shear must also be slight, otherwise the storm clouds will get ripped apart, a bit like a flame of a candle being blown out by a breeze. Now in this next stage, perhaps 2 days later, strong vertical currents of air here in the centre are building even bigger storms. Air from around the storm is blowing inwards to replace this rising air, and crucially, because our planet rotates, these winds are also rotating. The whole thing is now spinning about a central point, and a tropical depression is born. Now, a few days of drifting, winds in the centre are now circling at gale force. The rain clouds have expanded, the seas are rough, it's powerful enough to be called a tropical storm. And in this example, the tropical storm is heading for a region of the ocean where the sea is especially warm. So warm, in fact, that the storm will be sent into a frenzy of rapid growth. Now, 12 hours later, and the energy released from the ocean has powered up the winds to a critical speed. It's now a hurricane.
Let's discuss this disk shape some more. So let's discuss how disks form versus how spheres form. It is said that gravity makes Earth a sphere, so I think we would all agree that it would have had to form from an even distribution of materials being pulled inwardly equally from all directions from that starter speck of a point, and with all the atoms we need to make up all the elements from which we have seen in our world.
Well, for the purposes of this video, that will do. Yeah, that's about right.
In the scientific community, the processes of formation are called accretion. I have been told that in space, rock and dust act like liquids, but this sounds fishy to me. Now, if you said that that dust had liquid mixed in, like dough, then maybe it would work. But then what about the spinning? Spinning a dough ball makes a flat disc, whereas balls of dough are formed by an even pressure from all directions, and the spinning is in every which way, not just one way.
Well, that pretty much is the same example as the spinning ball you used earlier. And I've already commented on that, so let's move on to some more fail.
Watching GIFs of Jupiter, I found some contradictions I'd like to point out. The main thing being that I didn't find any GIFs of the clouds, if that's what they are, on Jupiter moving while it is also spinning. I wonder if it's because it would be too obvious something is wrong with the concept of the Coriolis effect.
The reason you don't see clouds moving at the same time Jupiter is spinning is because Jupiter's rotation is very fast. A complete day on Jupiter is under 10 hours, and you see the GIFs of Jupiter being still so you can actually see the clouds move and the storms move. Here, look at a video from Thunderfoot from a few years ago.
Jupiter, on the other hand, rotates comparatively quickly, about once every 8 hours, and that means that it's, on paper, possible to watch an entire rotation of the planet over the course of a single night. However, Jupiter and the Earth have to be in their right places in their orbits to do this.
He used his own telescope and equipment to get this view of Jupiter. This is his video. Anyone can do this. No one has to believe the space agencies. You can go out and do this yourself.
The other thing that isn't right is the lack of the stars in all of the space images. Even weather balloon footage has this issue. I read a NASA article that blames the cameras, but that seems fishy to me. This needs more research, and it could be a big clue.
And that's our first clue!
A clue?
A clue!
Then you put it in the notebook, cause they're blues, clues, blues, clues.
Okay, I'm definitely not going to beat a dead horse here, but I will sum it up for the viewers. You can't see the stars because, believe it or not, Jupiter reflects sunlight. And with a field of view this narrow, Jupiter causes the light to underexpose the tiny specks in the sky, called the stars. Maybe I can go into more detail later.
So speaking of clouds and the Coriolis effect, I thought you'd find it interesting that good old CERN is trying to recreate clouds, you know, to better understand them. Sorry, meteorologists, I guess we don't know crap about clouds. Either that, or ignorance is just a cover for a more dubious reason to generate weather. But I digress.
It really is heartbreaking that flat earth conspiracy theorists think that man generate the weather. The same weather and climate patterns that kill many people each year through heat, cold, and storms. According to CERN, the primary goal of the Cloud Project is to understand the influence of galactic cosmic rays on aerosols and clouds and their implications in the climate. And we humans do believe in our aerosols.
Have you ever seen clouds going in opposite directions right on top of each other? It's pretty cool. I'll share some of my own footage in a moment, and when you watch it, I'd like to ask you to consider the implications to the Coriolis effect.
You do know that clouds are moisture, and I hope you know that wind blows in different directions, and that the atmosphere is not one giant piece, right? Okay, then I won't comment on that. Okay, that completes part 2 of the series. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, please go back and do that before you watch part 3. If you liked the video, please comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.